Our lesson for today is about Rizal's defense. Upon arriving in Manila, Rizal was taken to Fort Santiago, where he was held incommunicado. Since martial law was proclaimed over the 8 provinces of Luzon, Rizal tried before a military tribunal. Rizal was charged with 3 crimes of rebellion, sedition, and formation of illegal association. The punishment for the first 2 crimes was death, while the punishment for the third crime was a fine of 325 to 3,250 pesos. 15 documents were used as evidence against him. It included a letter from Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce dated October 16, 1888, Madrid, showing Rizal's connection with the reform movement in Spain. A letter of Rizal to his family dated August 20, 1890, stating that the deportations are good and the people will grow to hate Spanish tyranny. A Masonic document dated February 9, 1892, honoring Rizal's patriotic achievements. A letter signed Di Masalang to an unidentified committee dated June 1, 1892, in Hong Kong, soliciting the aid of the Committee for Patriotic Work. A letter of Marcelo H. del Pilar to Juan A. Tenluz or Juan Zulueta, recommending the establishment of a special organization independent of the Freemasonry to help the Filipino people. A poem by Laong Laan entitled Atalisay, in which he makes the Dapitan schoolboys sing that they know how to fight for their rights. Rizal was allowed to have a defense counsel, and after examining a list of 100 counsels of first and second lieutenants in the Spanish army, he chose Lieutenant Luis Taviel de Andrade, who turned out to be the brother of his former escort in Calamba, Jose Taviel de Andrade. Rizal was arraigned on December 11 and was formally charged with the 3 crimes. On December 13, the case was forwarded to the Governor-General Camilo de Polavieja, who approved Rizal's trial by court-martial. The court-martial was presided by Lieutenant Colonel Jose Togoris Arjona, while Lieutenant Enrique Alcocer represented the prosecution. The trial lasted only 1 day. The judge advocate, Capitan Rafael Dominguez, called for the imposition of the death penalty, while Rizal's counsel, Taviel de Andrade, said that the evidences presented by the prosecution never directly linked Rizal to the ongoing insurrection. Furthermore, he said the desire to have Rizal executed was caused by a desire for vengeance for all the Spaniards killed in the conflict. He reminded the court that the judges cannot be vindictive, they can only be just. Prior to the court-martial, Rizal prepared the data for his defense. He answered all the accusations one by one. It ranges from his involvement from the revolution, wherein he answered that he did not have anything to do with that rebellion, considering that when Pio Valenzuela visited him in Dapitan twice, he refused to join the revolution nor to have him escape from Dapitan. He also defended the Liga Filipina, wherein he said that the purposes of the Liga were union, encouragement of commerce, industry, etc. Because he said that a people cannot have liberties without having first material prosperity. And some of the things wherein he was accused again of the La Liga Filipina of illegal association was because of the purpose to unite the archipelago into a compact, vigorous, and homogeneous body. It was thought by the Spaniards that he wanted to oust them because he did not want any nationality anymore because due to his idea of equality. If we read if we read this side, now that I have also believed that little by little autonomy would come and finally independence is true. Spain would abandon this country when she is convinced that her future is in Morocco and that this costs her more sacrifices than anything else. And she will abandon it even when the Filipinos like to stop her, as she had tried to do several times in past centuries. This was the meaning of what I said, that it was necessary to be worthy, to be united, so that when the time came, we might not fall into the hands of Japan or of England or of Germany. He was emphasizing here that Spain was about to experience its downfall as an empire, and it would be fitting that the Philippines is too tough to maintain considering its location as well as the people that they have to manage. Compared to Morocco, that was the contention of Rizal that it would be more practical if Spain would realize how costly it is to manage the Philippines based on his defense. And moreover, he also defended the Masonry, knowing that he was not the founder of the Masonry itself. Because even before he joined the Masonry, there were already a lot of Filipinos who already became members of the said movement. All these things, including the poem Himno at Talisay, were all pointed by Rizal as nothing offensive but something to do with education. He explained everything point by point, and even the statutes of the Liga. He also emphasized that long before the reform movement came, there were already uprisings that happened. That's why he defended that he was against the revolution. Separatist ideas have existed in the Philippines for many years. In this century alone, there occurred many uprisings, those of Novales, Cuesta, Apolinario, in the Ilocos and Pangasinan, of the regiment of the Pampangos of Cavite, and again that of Pangasinan in 1884. I described this revolutionary sentiment in a Madrid newspaper, El Progreso, in July 1884, calling the attention of the government to its causes and its figure. I have asked insistently for the freedom of the press and representatives as the means to forestall uprisings, as safety or escape valves. I was greatly marked out among others, because during the time I was engaged in politics, I played the part of free press and Philippine representative. I can state that from 1884 to 1891, the year I gave up writing, there occurred neither a mutiny or attempts at it nor political deportations. So here, we could see that Rizal really defended not only himself but also his loyalty to Mother Spain. Toward the end of his defense, he was very consistent of his idea of reforms. Moreover, after Tabiel de Andrade's presentation of evidence, he was allowed to add up to his defense, and he reiterated again his correspondences with Pio Valenzuela in the Pitan. He said, with respect to the rebellion, since 6 July 1892, I've absolutely not taken up politics until 1st of July of this year, when informed by Mr. Pio Valenzuela that an uprising was planned. I advised the opposite, trying to convince him with reasons. Pio Valenzuela separated from the seemingly convinced, so much so that instead of taking part later in the rebellion, he presented himself to the authorities for forgiveness. This was very evident when the revolution broke out, August 1896, when Governor General Blanco issued martial law. When he declared martial law, he also issued an ultimatum for those who would surrender within the next 2 days that he would be giving amnesty to them. And Pio Valenzuela was one of those who accepted that amnesty. And he even said that his real intention was to provide military medical services in Cuba while the Cuban Revolution was ongoing. He also defended again the Liga Filipina, that it was not an association with harmful purposes, and that it is proven by the fact that they had to abandon it to organize the Katipunan, which perhaps was the one that fulfilled their purposes. For the little that the Liga might have served for the rebellion, they would not have abandoned it. Instead, they would have simply modified it, for it, for if someone alleges, I am the chief out of consideration for me, and for the prestige of my name, they would have preserved the name Liga, for having rejected it, name and all, for creating the Katipunan, clearly proves that neither did they count on me, nor did the Liga serve their purposes. For another association is not formed when there is one already established. And after all these defenses, Rizal rested his case. And he neither denied that he knew. He denied that he knew all the members of the Liga Filipina when it was established at the house of Doroteo Junco. The judges then returned to decide whether to exile Rizal, since the evidences never directly linked Rizal to the insurrection. The other option was to execute him. If they decide to exile him, Rizal would have to be guarded indefinitely. They voted to have him executed, saying Rizal was guilty of all the charges. The next day, the decision of the court-martial was forwarded to Governor Polavieja, who sought the opinion of Judge Advocate General Nicolas Peña, who affirmed the decision of the court-martial. Rizal was to be shot in the morning of December 30, 1896. Rizal was informed of his death sentence on the morning of December 29, 1896. In his last day, Rizal met his family, and Jesuits came to make him retract his Masonic beliefs and return to the Catholic fold. After much discussion, Rizal finally relented and signed a letter of retraction at 11:30 in the evening. Until this day, that retraction controversy still lingers to us Filipinos. According to the priests who were with him, Rizal had a confession with Father Villaclara and rested afterwards. Later, he woke up and confessed again. Rizal confessed 4 times that early morning, and in between the confessions, Rizal prayed the rosary and wore a blue scapular of the Virgin Mary. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Rizal had his last breakfast. Josephine Bracken arrived together with his sister Narcisa. At his request, Rizal married Josephine, and Father Balaguer performed the marriage rites, allegedly. He gave her his last souvenir, a book, The Imitations of Christ, or Imitación de Cristo by Thomas Kempis, which he autographed. He also wrote goodbye letters to his parents and his brother Pashan. After everything that happened, the rest is history. Rizal was executed on December 30, 1896. The main idea of Rizal's defenses is that he tried to defend himself, reason for reason, even though he already had a foresight that his execution was about to happen. The court-martial hearing was known to be a scripted event just to undergo formality under the law. And also, at that point of time, Governor General Polavieja was newly installed as a Governor General, and he guaranteed to Monsignor, to Archbishop Bernardino Nosaleda of Manila, that whatever happens, Rizal has to be executed in order to stop the revolution from persisting. Rizal's humanity here is being seen as to how he valued people, as to how he really wanted reforms to happen. And he will be consistent up to the very end of his life as to how he was raised, as to how he believed that his education was owed to Mother Spain, and someday that the Philippines would be known as Spain's daughter country. This ends our presentation, and I hope you learned something. Thank you very much.